Hello, Ishan. So you have done so well in your 12th board exam. You have scored 95 on 100. It was a really good score, and you did work hard for it. You had to prepare yourself for the NEET exam and other competitive exams also. So how much were you able to balance both the exams? Like how much time could you give to prepare for the board exam and the competitive exam? Did you do it on a daily basis, or how did you plan it out?
Uh, I I actually regret not having made a schedule before, like a proper schedule. So I would just try to balance it out. But some days I would do only prepare for boards. Other days I would just do for NEET. Um, but for a majority of this academic year, I focus more on NEET because NCERT it covers both for NEET and boards. So if I'm studying for NEET, automatically some of the preparation would also be done for the boards.
Okay, so that means you started reading the NCERT or something? How did you start
Uh,
your prep? You tell me.
I started with NCERT first,
Hmm.
and then for further clarity, I read the modules provided by Akash,
Okay.
uh, and solved all the questions from there.
Okay. So that means you work mainly on your MCQs.
Yes,
Yeah. So that definitely helped you for the MCQs which were asked in the board exams also. Yeah.
yes.
And what about the writing part? I mean, how did you go about preparing the writing part?
I just, of course, the school it organized a lot of sample papers, pre-boards, and everything. So I was able to practice all my writing from there. Plus, the teachers they regularly sent exams online. So I would print out the question papers and solve them with a time limit, of course.
Hmm. And get it checked also.
Yes.
And so you came to know where were your loopholes.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, you just mentioned that you started writing tests. From when do you think it's the right time? Since you have already gone through the exam, you have an idea like when should you start this writing prep? When exactly? 3 months prior to the exam? 6 months prior? How do you?
I would say 6 months prior. Yes.
Okay.
3 months prior, there are some risks. So
Oh,
to be on the safe side, it should be 6 months prior.
so 6 months prior, you don't even complete your school syllabus. Then how will you handle this chapters which are not complete?
I mean, as in, if you're writing the test, if you haven't studied that chapter from which the question has been asked, I would just skip that question.
Okay. That means 6 months ahead, you can start with a full test paper and skip the
Yeah.
questions, whichever chapter was not done. Oh, that's a good, very rational idea. And what were your struggles throughout your 12th standard, if I ask you? What were your struggles?
Just trying to maintain the balance between all these mock tests of NEET and for boards.
Hmm.
I honestly wasn't scoring too well in either of them, so I had to deal with some scoldings from my parents. But uh, yes, that was the main struggle.
Okay, okay. And do you regret getting whatever you have scored in boards, or you are happy with your in?
Um,
Hmm.
I'm happy, but I was hoping for just like 1% more, but I'm fine with the marks I've got.
Okay. So where do you think you have gone wrong? Where do you
Um,
have lost your marks?
I think in a few three marker questions, I may have given the wrong answer, just not explained fully well enough. So I guess that's where I went wrong. And two MCQs, I believe. Two MCQs, that's where I went wrong.
Oh, okay, okay. So that means, say, if I ask you, dividing the entire chemistry into organic, inorganic, physical. So
Mhm.
where do you need to, of course, it differs from student to student, but where would you
Mhm.
advise the, present 12th standard students to focus more on?
I would say organic. because once you have read the chapters, you feel like you remember everything. But when you go on to attempt a question, you immediately, I mean, I tend to get confused immediately, and I feel like, oh, this needs further revision. So I would say keep revising organic.
Okay.
In organic, I don't think there's a lot of work to be done in organic in 12th. In 11th, I think your primary focus should be in organic, but not in 12th.
Okay. So, and physical, what about the numericals? How do you, I mean, how do you do the, how do you perfect yourself? Let me put it that way. How do you perfect yourself in numericals?
All those NCERT back exercises, those are very important, the numericals especially, because they aren't, not all of them are easy, some of them are tricky, and the boards, they usually base all their questions from there,
Hmm.
the back exercises and the in-text questions. So yes, that's the main thing that needs to be done. And on top of that, you can look for PYQs for boards.
Yes. Arya, I would like to know if you have any regrets, you know, and if you have any regrets, what are they? Do you have any regrets?
Uh, should have studied more.
Okay, okay. So 90 is not a bad mark at all, but you wanted a little more. You wanted a little more. It
Uh,
had.
yeah,
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
yeah, but
So,
it's actually I got a problem because I was very heavily I had studied physics and chemistry fairly relatively similar, but maths I had not studied a lot. So I felt a lot like in the pre-boards felt like a heavy hit during maths. So I had to complete that. Like I had to bring it to the level of physics and chemistry. I could have spent that time like even perfecting physics and chemistry that time, but like if that were the case, then my maths would have been very, very low. So I couldn't have sacrificed. I had to bring it to some level.
okay,
So it's like about maths is just about like three marks less than like chemistry. So it's just about that level. But in pre-board it was very low.
okay.
That's why I
That
had to
means
spend a lot of time on maths.
upgrading your maths took a toll on your other subjects. That's what you mean to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah.
So, of course, the students would definitely understand Arya's advice, and that is, you know, you need to work on all the three. I mean, it's a physics, chemistry, bio, or a physics, chemistry, maths, right from the beginning. Yes, Arya? Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, like, see, Arya, what questions I've asked Ishan, that same question I'll ask you is that, uh, you know, when exactly did you start your board preparations?
I was always preparing for boards. I never stopped preparing for boards.
Okay,
So from the
okay.
very start, I was preparing for boards. My competitives was just side by side. I was doing like practice question, or like PYQs. I was doing PYQs. But other than that, I was always mostly focused on boards because I
How did you start your prep for boards, Arya?
uh I well I was
Just with your
how will I
PYQs.
say
Just with your
like
PYQs.
yeah, mostly no, not really. I just completed after completing the syllabus. I just revised it once. Like I had made my personal notes, so I just went through those notes. Especially for chemistry, I had like an organic chemistry book I had made, which I had completely revised, and then all I did was question for practice.
Okay, okay. And Ishan, if I ask you, how did you start your prep for boards?
Well, the school took care most of it actually. They started organizing exams right before the summer vacation. So, and all the low marks were enough motivation to get serious. Um, just
Okay, so you took it on the positive side. You took it as a motivation.
yes, some of it was negative, brought by all the scoldings from my mom, all the berating. But yes, I had to get serious.
Okay, okay, okay. So, Arya, see, I would like to speak about your struggle. All right, like everyone had a lot of struggle, but what was your struggle kind of? And what did you do to rectify it? First, speak about your struggle.
Well, mostly coping up with my biggest struggle was coping up with like all three subjects together, because most of the time I could do two. Even sometimes like I had my physics maths ready and then I fell down a little on chemistry. I unfortunately, like fortunately, I never fell down on physics because I don't know, just naturally I am better at physics. But my maths and chemistry shifted. So sometimes I did physics and chemistry, so my maths went down. So my biggest struggle was like having together, like doing all three together. And my study pattern was such that I could not do like some part of physics, some part of chemistry, some part of maths like per day. I don't know, somehow I always felt it was incomplete. So I completed physics in one complete like sitting. So like let's say a couple of 5 days, I completed physics. Next 5 days or next 4 days chemistry, and then next 5 or 6 days maths. So like if any advice were to be taken from this, that if you're starting boards from very early, it's easier to just do all three together per day, allot time that, and do it over like let's say 3 months, and then I think you'll be done within 3 months if you do it rigorously.
Okay, so yeah, Ishan told us 6 months, but Arya, yeah, so it depends on from student to student, like how early they want to start their prep. Okay, okay. Like Arya, I am so curious to know from students, like when you started writing that paper, chemistry exam, okay, chemistry paper, like were you feeling nervous? Were you stressed? Or you felt like सब कुछ naturally आ रहा है क्योंकि किया था. What
Well,
did you?
since it was the first exam, I felt a bit nervous. So like, technically, our first board exam was chemistry. So I was a bit nervous, but like once you start like solving, it's easier. Like once you start getting into the question, once you're in the flow, you don't really mind all the like nervousness. It just goes away automatically. Though
Okay,
the problem is if you feel like you've done very well and you find a question you can't solve, it's very hard to just leave it knowing that there is time. You always want to go back, always want to stay on that question. At least personally, always felt that. So sometimes you just have to break that off and move on to the next question.
okay. Say, Arya, your opinion, like if you say question number three is you do not know the answer, what will you do? Leave some space, go attempt the other question, or ponder on it for some time and then carry on.
Immense. Sometimes what happens is when I ponder on it, like get the question in like about 2 or 3 minutes. Once I'm completely focused on it for like 1.5 minutes, I get the answer. But if it's taking a little bit longer, I don't leave space. I just continue with the next question, and then yeah, if I get time, I go back to the question just at the end of the paper. I just write, okay, question three, answer that and that.
Okay. And Ishan, what do you have to say about the same thing? Like if you do not know an answer to a question, what do you do?
I would just ponder about it for a minute.
Okay.
If I come out with an answer, I wouldn't directly just write it. I would just move on to the other questions and then revisit the question at the end.
Okay. So that's the best advice that you can give to your juniors. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's nice. So, Arya, if you were to write this exam once again, are you willing?
Uh, Yeah, like the reason I'll be willing to write it today or tomorrow is because I still have my competitives a bit, three competitives left. So say I'm still revising constantly, and I'm actually doing like the questions I'm doing better. I'm doing harder questions. So I would assume I would be able to do easier questions of boards, but it depends on the presentation because it's been like almost a month. I haven't practiced my presentation according to the board standard. I'll be willing to, but I don't know how better I will do or how worse I will.
And you think your marks would improve better than whatever what you got?
I think so. I think so. I could. Uh, my marks would be better in my opinion.
Ishan?
Um, no, I won't be risking it if my if I take another attempt and the marks turn out to be worse than what I got now. Yes, it won't be worth the risk. No.
So your previous prep was a little better you know?
Yes, I've only been giving interviews for universities now, so I'm a bit out of touch with the syllabus. It's been a few weeks, so no, I won't take the risk.
Okay, okay. So, advice, the last thing before we wind up is, in short, Arya, advice to the present 12th standard students.
Uh, my biggest advice is always to stay consistent at whatever like plan you're doing. The biggest difficulty for, I think it's a general difficulty for everything, not even studies, but just generally in everything, is to stay consistent at what you're doing. Sometimes you feel like maybe I'll take a break today, or maybe I'll take a break for like 2 or 3 hours. Just like don't do that. Think of the future, and when you look back at it, you'll be happy that you didn't take those breaks and just kept on going. Of course, little breaks are okay, but not to break the pattern. To stay consistent with your pattern.
Thank you so much, Arya. And Ishan, a word or two of advice.
It's similar to what Arya said. Just prepare a proper timetable, an unbiased one. Abide by it, and just yeah, stay consistent. Because especially if you have two exams to prepare for, one that's going to be your entrance to the college, and one for your graduation from high school. It's there's If you're preparing haphazardly for both of them, you might not find, or you might not find enough advantage in preparing for. You won't find a lot of improvement in preparing for both of them. So it's important that you schedule all your studies.
Thank you so much, Ishan and Arya. It was very nice, speaking to you all, and best of luck for all your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you.